notice that date, the similarity to when Van Rompuy makes his suggestions. Here's Duke of Edinburgh with Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary. The British province represented Father General at the Windsor Castle at the beginning of this month accepted a certificate from His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, and the UN Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, for the work that the Society of Jesus has applied to drawing up its 7-year plan for the environment. Just interesting. I thought that these guys were Anglican in that sense. Doesn't mean that they can't work with, the Jesuit order, of course, but there you have it. I guess this guy as well, don't have heard about some of his quotes. Allegedly, he said that he'd like to be reincarnated as a deadly virus or whatever. He's behind the wild, to bring down human population. He's behind the Worldwide Life Foundation as well, so I guess he doesn't have any objections in terms of the green taxes and all that stuff too. After the failure of the constitutional treaty, I'm beginning to round up here now for you guys who want to take a break, but just a few more slides, a few more notes here. After the failure of the constitutional treaty in 2005, as mentioned before, the Eurocrats whip up the Lisbon Treaty. The Dutch and the French voted no, so they turn it over into a treaty and says, let's not vote on this thing then. Okay, bring it in. The leaders are here at the Jerónimos Monastery in Portugal, in Lisbon, posing as they were. Ireland was the only country, as you probably know, who voted for the Lisbon Treaty, the implementation of that. They said no in 2008. Eurocrats say, no, that's wrong, bringing in the economic situation. They vote yes in 2009, and now we're all under the Treaty of Lisbon. It was signed on December 13th. This is a symbolic date, if you ask me. This is St. Lucy's Day, or Lucia, as we say in Swedish, and actually a holiday celebrated primarily in Sweden and in northern Italy. She's the patron saint. Lucy is the patron saint of the blind. Lucy, Lucia, Lucifer, light, all the story again. Here she is with the eyes, of course, right there. And she's the bringer of light in that sense. It's happening at the darkest point of the year, 13th of December, according to the old Julian calendar of counting. So it's interesting, symbolic date. They do a lot of things on a symbolic note. BBC says a symbol of the building of the modern world. When the guys signed the Treaty of Lisbon, go into some detail in terms of the Jerónimos Monastery, as I mentioned before, designed by King Manuel I to commemorate Vasco da Gama's voyage to India. It's a hermitage where the monks of the Order of the Christ, a Portuguese successor to the Knights of Templar, were residing. Henry the Navigator is featured prominently there, which connects with maritime symbolism, navigation, sea, Virgin Mary even in the extension. This is some of the pictures from the interior there, with corals and ropes, and beautifully decorated. The signing of the Lisbon Treaty. What happened in the UK then? The Queen signed what they call goatskins, instruments of ratification as they call it. Both houses of Parliament had to pass the Lisbon Treaty. They are then sealed, bound in blue leather, deposited with the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Rome. So again, we're back to Rome, and things that the royal British family is doing, signing documents, is ending up in Rome. The Knights of Malta, military arm of the Vatican. This is Andrew Bertie. I think he's the third cousin, twice removed from Queen Elizabeth II. He was the current head of the order of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. Here he is with Barroso then, as we mentioned before. Hans Paul Göttering, I think this guy's called. Important, here he is with the Pope. Bertie passed away in 2008, I think, and here's the new guy, another British guy, Matthew Festing, fraternizing there with Barroso. He's the current head of the order, as I mentioned. Interesting. And the Knights of Malta have their headquarters on Aventine Hill, one of the 7 hills in Rome as well. If we read from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey, a 33rd degree Mason, he writes, the Knights of Malta are the military of the Pope and are sworn to total obedience by blood oath, which is taken extremely serious and to the death. The Pope, as the head of the Vatican, is also the head of the foreign national power. And we have this whole story of Blackwater popping up here as well. I don't know if you're aware of that. This guy right here standing behind there it is again, the Pentagon, pentacle, that's the whole symbol. The former Pentagon Inspector General, Joseph Edward Schmitz, he quits in 2005 after he promoted the whole fraudulent, what do you call it, weapons of mass destruction thing. goes to work for Blackwater. He quit then, right, in 2005. Goes to work for Blackwater. He's a member of Opus Dei and the Knights of Malta. He had to bring this in. This is a re-emergence in one way of the Holy Crusades. That's what's going on here. Some of the more are the other founding fathers. Robert Schumann, could talk about him quite a lot. We don't have too much time right now. I want to try to keep to the schedule that we have as well. John Monnet, other very important guy. But I'll leave you with a few sources in case you want to look at some of the modern corruption actually within the European Union. The Great European Ripoff by David Craig and Matthew Elliott. Fantastic expose of, as I mentioned, the modern corruption, the wasteful nature actually of the European Union. Martha Andreasen, lovely lady. We had her on our radio program, by the way. You can go and listen to the full hour interview we did with her in terms of her book and what she's been up to. Brussels Laid Bare. She was chief accountant to the EU and refused to sign off the accounts because she felt that the EU was, their accounting system was an open till waiting to be robbed. There was so much corruption there. She quit. It's a whole story about that too. Check it out on the website. Blowing the Whistle, Paul von Buitenen, also showing the corruption in the European Commission, mostly through the use of fictitious and questionable contracts with outside consultants. Finally, The Great Deception, Christopher Booker, Richard North, also very interesting. Some of it goes into a little bit more on the background in terms of that. And all this thing, just to briefly round up here, that is what I call corruption allowed within the European Union in that sense. They want to... The weird quirk. We're working on a DVD to put this all together for you in terms of the modern corruption of the EU as well. So many things that I haven't had time to talk about. We just looked at the symbolism and some of the background. But I feel that they, in one way, just be aware of this, that they want to show how corrupt the European Union is. Because they want to bring in, they want the people to demand a stronger leader in that sense. They want the people to say, this corruption can't go on. We got to have someone who's more powerful. Can oversee this. Someone has more power, so where transparency is given to these people as well. And that's basically this. And we hope to elaborate more on these points further on as well. There's so much more to talk about, but just be aware of that. That I think the corruption and the exposure of the corruption within the EU is allowed in that sense, and it's a work in progress. It's they're building on the European Union and have done that for a long time, and it's continuing. So we'll just have to see what happens. But as a final note, keep your eye, or if you're interested, on our website, redicecreations.com. We'll keep you updated and posted on all the things that we do, and hopefully we'll be able to deliver that DVD to you as well if you're interested in that, finding out some more stuff. So with that, thank you very much for your time. Try to stick to the schedule.